Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the P2P chat. Happy Friday. TGIF. Hope you all got some good weekend plans ahead of you. Looking at the charts, we've got a few fairly interesting things taking place. Some things to talk about for sure. As far as actual trading setups go, we will see. Mr. Mustang Shaky, Knight, Blue Quant, John, good morning to you all. Good to have you all back. Good stuff. Gonna let some people flow in and we'll be getting started here soon. Polly, good morning. Good morning to you. Hey, if you're coming in right now, don't be shy. Say hello. Don't be a lurker in the background. A lot of movement already. I like oil first red day. Hopefully fall Mustang. Y'all are killing it, honestly. Those of you that have been showing up every single day, I have watched you all continue to get better. It's very cool. All right, I don't want to keep going too long because we're gonna be getting into the open and I don't want to be still analyzing at the open. So ladies and gentlemen, if you do me a huge favor, there's 33 of you in this room with me right now. If all of you could possibly hit that little thumbs up button, we're gonna get going. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're doing well. And I hope you have wonderful weekend plans lined up and ready to go. Uh-oh. What has happened? Hold on. 2 seconds. Okay. All right. Just a reminder. Information on this channel is provided for education and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including words of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. Please feel free to read this. Pause the stream. I'm not a financial advisor. Great. All right, NASDAQ. Starting out, as always, on the NASDAQ. And in fact, you know what? Let's just do a little reminder. How does the market move? Well, it goes up. It'll make a series of higher highs and higher lows. And then eventually, it'll make a lower low. And then during this lower low period, it has decisions to make. It either makes a lower high, continues to go lower, or it will maybe reset and continue to go higher. But regardless, whenever the market is going in one direction and it tries to go the other way, there will be some form of retest, either in the form of a lower high or in the form of a high. It goes back to the high and it basically fails to go higher, breaks down, and then it'll go lower. Or sometimes it'll make the lower low, it'll break out, and you're thinking, okay, higher high that's going to fail, and then it'll just keep going. So you're looking for, whenever you get the higher high that you're looking to fail situation, really looking for it to, break down and follow through. And I'm talking about this on a daily scale. Now, of course, it's on the day as well. If you're looking at price action on the day, you can apply these same concepts of market structure. The market is fractal, and therefore it will still apply. But on a daily scale, if market has been going up and you're on the front side of a move, So if we're triggering previous day's highs and previous day's lows, and we're trading and we're going higher, breaking out, closing higher, things like that, or just closing higher in general, they're triggering, this is them triggering the previous day's low. Okay, a lot of times this will turn into a first red day, or maybe this day was a first red day, and then the next day triggers previous day's low, and then you get a follow through like this. But regardless, the only three things that markets do: previous day's high and low, builds a box. So if I was to label this, you got your previous day's high, so previous high, you got your previous low, and that builds your box. And then you come into the new day with that box in mind, and then they break out of it. Maybe it breaks out and fails. But if it breaks out and succeeds and closes like this, what do I do the next day? I project that level across. Market only does three things: breakout, pullback, trend, breakout, reverse, fail, and go to the other side of the range. I know, what the heck is this? He's got spaghetti up on the screen. But just a quick reminder, because if we're in a range, so if we're in a range, I need to be, are we consolidating? Is it consolidating for a move back up? Is it, what is happening? 922, I need to really hurry up. Market go up. Market been breaking out, closing higher. Market give first red day. So after first red day, we've been going up, front side of a move. Okay, trend line is just for a visual reference, not using it for any valid criteria really. Closed in breakout on Wednesday. Thursday opened inside day, but a first red. So let's get that up here just for visual reference. We got a first red day on this day here. Okay, we got a close in breakout, a day that opened, tried to go higher, kind of in the beginning, started making lower lows and lower highs, breakout failed. And then we've closed this as a first red day. I know I'm on oil right now. I know I said it was NASDAQ. This is oil. Okay, they did not trigger previous day's low over here, so possibly no, lower low. And then today opened, triggered the low. So now we have a lower low on a daily scale, and they have pumped it back up. So this lower low here after first red day, two things. It was also an inside bar. So this could be them triggering in shorts at the low, making this higher high, consolidating. And maybe now we're going to go back for the breakout traders at the high of the week. We've made the lower low. Whenever they make a new extreme in the opposite direction, they will go back for some kind of retest. So I need to make sure that they're not going to go back for some kind of retest, and that this lower low is valid, and that we continue to break down and go lower. That is what I will be looking for on oil. If that does not show up, I will not take a trade. Okay? First red day, lower low, pump up and pop up, waiting for the breakdown. If it doesn't present, if it doesn't show up, into the dumpster, and I won't be trading this, and I'll go somewhere else. Okay, NASDAQ, market go up, market make higher highs, market make lower low, market go back to high for retest. Okay, market go back to high for retest and fail. Very important stuff, right? We're going through the process. We're going through the sequence of events that the market tends to go through before actually reversing. So we've got the lower low. We've gone back to the high. We've broken down. Now this was a first red day. Coming off the high of the week, market opened, tried to go higher, three peaks, failed. It's a shame, right? It really is a shame. Yesterday, we knew exactly what was going on. We knew exactly, but just the timing wasn't right, whatever. First red day. This is also breakout day one. We also have breakout day one in this direction. Okay, so market only does three things. You hear me say pretty much every time I reference the market only does three things, it'll be after one of these breakouts, right? So we have a breakout in that direction. We have a breakout in that direction. Now we're at the low of the current week. Have we triggered previous week's low? Because I want to see other levels start getting hit now. Yes. Okay, so previous week's low has been hit. Market has been making higher highs, making previous week's levels breaking out. I think this is like 6 weeks of going up. Market triggered previous week's low, Are we about to enter a down cycle, even if it's just for a few weeks on the NASDAQ? I don't know. But we've triggered previous week's low, which means we could be seeing that. Okay, so what would I actually want to see? Normally, what I would look for is first red day, breakout day 1, triggering of the low, pop up, follow through. That happened in London. It happened in London. That's unfortunate. So now what do I do? Well, we already had a fairly significant move. What other setups can I be looking for? We've triggered a previous week's level. We have a breakout. We have the level, the breakout level. I'm not saying they're going back up. In fact, I kind of don't really think they will. On the day, if I was forced to look for a setup, we made a lower low. We made a higher high. We're way down low. We're broken out. We're way down low. So I would have to look for a setup from the low of the day after this higher high to go back for the money. Even if it's just on the day, a 3-session scalp, or even just back through the high, something like that. That's what I have to trade. I have got to look for that because I can't just chase the move or chase the trend. I have to look for an actual reoccurring setup that I'm willing to take, and that's the only one that I see on the NASDAQ. So let's go to US 30, and I'm not going to waste everybody's time re-explaining all of this. It's fairly similar. Actually, it's different. Yeah, I probably should shut my mouth and then just say accurate words, right? First red day, then we get breakout day 1, breakout day 2, breakout day 3 yesterday. We're into breakout day 4. So on this breakout day 4, it's a trending week, and although the picture is different as far as what is presented, we've got 4 days of breakouts. On the day with 4 days of breakouts, we do have the higher high. So this looks pretty clean. So I know exactly what to look for on this. Now this is just a 5-minute higher high. The daily chart is breaking out lower. We're in a trend down on a high scale or a higher time frame. So this 5-minute higher high doesn't really hold an insane amount of weight. I just know that there's a breakout trader that's in profit up here. He's making too much money. We need to put some fear into this guy. And we've made the higher high after 3 days of breakouts. So I'll be watching for the setup. Okay. Gold, already very significant move. Huge move. Was it reoccurring? How did we know or think to know that this was going to happen? Breakout, 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 inside bar, breakout. So we're into 4 or 5 days of breakouts, whatever it is. Yesterday, we even said this, higher high, break in structure, and I was worried about it. I was worried that this break in structure was going to lead to follow-through, continuation. And it did in a 3-day setup. So this was breakout, first green day, higher high, inside bar, consolidation, starts making higher highs and higher lows on the day. And then a parabolic squeeze off of probably, so non-farm. Do I have a setup now? No. Fantastic. This move was amazing. I hope somebody somehow, some way caught this. Do I have a setup now? No, I do not. So I will go on. Let's see, Russell. Looking like the Russell's probably somewhat similar. Yep. Aikens, exactly. Lower low. Has this one... So this one made a slightly higher high as well. And the lower low may have already failed. And is consolidating. Maybe. Okay, oil. I've already explained oil. It's 9:30 right meow. So I am going to put this up like this. It only takes one really good setup, right? I don't need to know exactly what everything is doing. My main focus today is probably going to be oil. Although I do think the indexes, you know, they have potential or whatever. I just think that oil is my best chance. Carlo, good morning. 8:30 news candle for gold. Yeah, Nipsey. The non-farm really projectiled that thing up. Really projectiled that thing up. Okay, oil, we've got a bit of a three peaks. So I'm looking at this thinking about, hey, this is a lower low, so where's my three push pattern going to be? You know, if I had to guess, we had a consolidation and a bar that catches my attention, and then a second run, and then a consolidation, and a third run, biggest bar on the chart, reversed immediately and never went any higher. So I'm thinking this is probably the end of P2, either here or here. So I want to see evidence that these souls have been claimed. These people are no longer allowed to get out of their positions. They were thinking, hey, oil's going up forever, and it's not going to come back down, and they're now trapped. Hopefully, that's what I'm thinking is the thesis for this pair. So I'm going to keep watching this. I'm trying to get my other screen set up. That's why I'm stumbling through my words, because I'm trying to do two things at once, and my man brain doesn't allow me to do that. NQ is moving. Yes, it is. Okay, so with these going down or continuing to go down, the continuation, honestly, the continuation might be the easy trade. It might be the easy move. I'm not going to trade that because that is not a setup that I frequently or regularly take. I would be trading the direction and what I think the market looks like it's doing. A setup for me would be lower low, higher high, trades back into the low at the low of the current week and squeezes off the low to go back for the money. A day 3 reversal. Off the low of the week. Now, do I think that's going to happen? It doesn't matter what I think. If I gave you my opinion, do I think it's going to go back up today? Probably not. But I don't know for sure, right? I can't see into the future. If I did, you would see me in like 50 trades a day if I could predict the future. Because I would just be getting them all right, and it would be awesome. Okay, I'm really starting to focus in on oil a little bit. I think that oil has a lot of potential. I'm on a 1-minute chart on my other screen. They did make a higher high on the 1-minute chart, so I'm going to let it break down and make this lower low, which means that I'm going to let this 5-minute bar close, and I hope that it closes strongly to the downside like it is right now. This is what I'm talking about. We had a high in place, okay? In fact, I would count this as the high. But regardless, they've gone higher. And then they have, that might actually have been the lower low. I don't want to wait too long, because then if I do, then it might no, I'm going to be patient. Patience is always the best way to go. I'm looking for a gold buy on a retest. So the only thing that I have to say about that is, and I'm not saying that that's a bad idea by any means. I just have a preference. You know, because I've been around the market cycles long enough, I've seen most things, I think. And I've seen markets that are in like really strong breakout like this, and they'll just continue to trickle higher all day long, right? Kind of do like little waves like this. I just, and those are really strong moves. Like that's a buy and hold till the end of the day, sort of, buy and hold to the close kind of day. And that's phenomenal. It's fantastic. I just, it's hard for me to gauge whether or not that's the type of day that it's going to be. So I just don't like taking those trades because sometimes, you'll see a day that you think is going to do that, and then it's something like this, and it's just like, oh my gosh, how do I know that that's going to be like that type of day? Because right now, everything that this is doing looks as if, I don't know. Like it looks like it could do that, but then it kind of look, we just got this engulfing bar back down. This is just a 5-minute chart though. Maybe we're going to V top or A top and come back. Who knows? Who knows? It's Friday. We don't want to end the week on a bad note. We are going to stay incredibly calm, cool, calm, and collected. We've got a lot of big moves that have already taken place. Setups only. Only looking to take the best and brightest opportunity. We are not ending the week on a bad note. And a loss is not a bad note. A stupid loss is a bad note. Taking a loss outside of the program, outside of the plan, entering in on size on a trade that has no reason for even being entered. You're just entering because of what you think is going to happen. I'm not doing any of that. I'm not playing their game. I'm only going to enter in on something that I believe to be perfect. Because next week, with some degree of certainty, whether it be next week or the week after, there will be something that you come to the screen and you say, hey, that's the one. That's it. That's the trade. That's the one that I'm supposed to be taking. No ifs, ands, or buts. No doubt in my mind. That's the one. Joseph, hello, good morning. I hope you're doing good. Well, actually. I hope you're doing well. Any trades yet? No. But I am rapidly approaching the thought process on oil. Maybe. Maybe. Big maybe. Capital M. Capital AB. Do you think there's more room for you to improve your edge? Absolutely. Always. From now until death, I will be trying to get better. Whether it be improving what type of days I hold longer for, whether it be, improvements to, so what I'm really trying to say is improvements to like trade management, improvements to, my entries are usually pretty decent, but always going to be room for improvement to get in at a better time. My patience is pretty decent as well, but there are some times where maybe I'm a little over caffeinated for the day, and I pull the trigger a little too early. But what I do well, I think, is I don't pull the trigger too early on size. When I do that, I tend to do it smaller, which is good. Probably shouldn't do it at all, so we can make improvements there. 100% though. Okay, we're really looking for oil to capitulate now. we've broken down. We've gone sideways for a bar. They did close a little bit lower with this bar, so it's maybe not the best sideways continuation bar, but it is a loss of momentum. So we could see it break down, sideways for a bar. What it should do, okay? Remember, I really like to emphasize this. What is it supposed to do? Based off of what the previous bars are telling me, what is it supposed to do? And then what is it currently doing? And then based off of that, I can make decisions. Because if it comes down here and immediately loses momentum, and then we get, strong bars going back up, I probably should be very careful. I should always be very careful, but really looking for this thing. If this thing is truly a good 3 push pattern, and a breakdown, which it is. I think this looks clean. We've broken down. We've gone sideways for a bar. Yeah, we do have this news at 10 as well. Probably Stacey Moses. Steve Mauro was my eye opener. He was the reason that I became so curious about looking at the market a certain way, and I learned a ton just from watching him. And then in watching Stacey's videos, learning about Toby Crable and Schabacker, Edwards, and Magee really opened up a lot of doors. Really opened up a solid understanding. And then in learning about those, really, making me want to adventure more into 3-day cycle and 3-day setup. So I started looking into, like I said, Toby Crable and Taylor, right? George Douglas Taylor. There's only so many rabbit holes you can go down, though. You really don't want to mix in too many things. But you'll start to notice that all of the things that you're mixing in are relatively similar. Because all things trading, no matter what system you're using, if it's a decent system, should revolve around certain things. Market cycles, market structure, and ultimately liquidity, money. Because that's how the market moves. It can't move without the money. So it has to consistently and constantly go for it. Or else it would just be stagnant. It would just be sitting still. Nobody would be making money. Oh my. You're about to open up a whole can of worms for me, Fern. Toby Crable. Go read his book. And you're not going to be able to find a printed version, and I'm not going to tell you how to find it. But Google exists. All right, you'll be able to find it, I promise. Yep. You'll learn more in the first 2 chapters of that book than probably most things that you'll look or read or anything online. Of course, it doesn't give you the practical application benefits, but the information is extremely solid. And you'll notice in that book, all right? So, Stacey and Steve, they both have similar to like first red day setups. They both agree on the fact that the market tends to move in threes. Both of them look at patterns over the course of 3 days. Both of them target liquidity and money and things like, so there's a lot of similarities between Steve and Stacey. But to really put it all together, when you start reading that book and you see things with different names that describe first red day, just read the description. Don't read the name. Don't just read the description of what describes the setup. And you're going to be like, wow, that's 3 days of breakouts. Wow, there's the inside bar setup. Wow, there's the first red day. First green day. Whatever it is. And it's amazing. Eye-opening. Okay, we've got less than 15 to the news. We've broken down. We've gone sideways for 1 bar. His name is Toby Crable. Crable. Max. Of course, Farron. I enjoy it. Love it. All right, we are 12 minutes away from the news. So I'm going to tell you all, I have entered into oil. I'm also at break even on oil, and I've added into my position. So I am anticipating or hoping for an explosive continuation prior to the news. However, this was all part of my plan. However, if this is a trap move before the news, then they're just going to stop me out at break even. No harm, no foul. But if it does follow through, I would like to be a part of the move. And so I shall be. But I am looking to try and get out ASAP Rockin' Roo. And on, oh my gosh. All right, I've closed. 10 minutes before the news is a fantastic place to get out. Fantastic place to get out. All right, so the time expiry is what has forced me to close. I would like to hold on to this, admittedly, because this particular setup, lower low, lower high, follow through continuation, we should be seeing the low of the day expanded by 25 to 50 pips. Okay. Oh my goodness. Cameron, you've done it again. You have done it again. I got out the bar before that. Sometimes it hurts, but we're ending. That was still a decent trade. Okay. Still a decent trade. What time is this? 9:36. Actually, it doesn't show to my other. I got it. I started getting in around this area over here after the open. I added in. No, I know exactly what I did because I added into my position over here as it was falling down. And I closed on this bar. So it really didn't go that far. But that was on multiple minis, so it wasn't not bad. About 25 pips. I'll take that. 25 pips. A good, confident, low risk, high probability of success. 25 pips. Not bad. Now, it is a shame this next bar, because the moment I closed on this bar here. Luckily, when it was, somewhat extended, I got out right in this area here. That next bar really jumped down. But this is a really clean chart. Pumped up, go sideways, break down, follow through. This is the type of chart. Here, let me pull this up. I wonder if I can find it. I always used to show and I know a bunch of you are probably from the webinar. But I would always show my webinar group this because I thought it was funny. I have my trading binder from when I first started trading, my first study binder. This is the type of chart where I would have drawn it like this. I would have 1 minute chart up, and this is how I would have studied. I would have just had this like this, and then I would have had like a line, like, oh yeah, this is where it engulfed, and then I would have just been like, this is where I would have entered, and then I should have been targeting here, and that's it. No other context, no other anything else. And I always laughed at that because it was like, well, now, like looking back, it's like, well, what did yesterday do? Why was I looking for this? What was reproducible about this? Because I've seen this exact pattern 100 times, and then it just keeps doing this. So what led me to believe that this was what was going to happen? Which led me to build a new study binder, which was much better. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it. I think that was my trade. 25 pips with a little bit of size, not a lot. I had two minis on there. Do you ever drag your stop instead of just getting out? No, I'll leave it at break even, John. And yes, I do drag it sometimes, but for the most part, when I don't just get out, the reason I got out here all in, all out, was the time, right? Because of the news. That's the only reason I did that. But when I do want to hold a little bit longer, the best thing that I can do is just close one of the positions, stay at break even. So that's what I'll do. I'll just close one of the positions, stay at break even, stay risk free, and then just do it that way. I'm going to stick around for this news. If it doesn't really do anything, if the news doesn't really project any new setups or make me believe that a setup is going to take place, then I'll just end here because there's no reason to hold you all in the stream for another hour or 45 minutes if we're just going to sit here. And not that I don't enjoy hanging out with y'all, but I got to eat. I got to work out. Maybe I'll go to the beach. I go to the beach. I went yesterday. Maybe I'll go again today. Yeah, this oil chart is definitely a picture-worthy chart, though. And I have a feeling this is likely a part of a much larger setup or plan for the market. We've got a higher high here. Over the course of 3 days, they're back down at the low. If it continues to break down from this point, maybe. But as far as 3-day setups go, this was really good. First red day, trigger the low, pop back up. This is the golden setup. The bread and butter. And you know what? People have asked me, what's your favorite setup? And I think that I'm changing my answer. It's been changing slowly over time, but the more and more that I trade, the longer that I trade, this has really been producing over and over and over and over again. This thing produces. First red day, lower low. On a daily scale, triggering the low and pop up and continuation. Or first green day in the opposite direction, or a trending market. We've been going in that direction, and they triggered the low and popped it back up, or they broke out and popped it back up. It just produces over and over again. It's so good. I love it. I think that I have to change my answer to that, because especially lately, those are the ones that have just been producing the most. And yes, they might come after a first red day, but that first red day is not the setup. First red day just sets the conditions for the setup. Shaky, you take it easy. Hope to see you Monday. You have a good weekend. I don't really think that I have a preference, Moses, but I do think the daily levels they're going to be larger moves for sure. But sometimes the ones on the inside are the fast movers. The ones that I like the most are the ones that are over and done with in 5 minutes. They just jump 25, 50, 75, 100 pips in 5 to 10 minutes. They explode. They collapse, or they break out and explode. I don't want to sit in something for a long time. I don't like to. Because the longer that I sit in something, I bumped it. There we go. The longer you sit in something, the more every little movement is going to seed doubt. It's going to seed fear. It's going to seed, it could even seed greed, start making you think irrationally. You're no longer looking at the actual characteristics of the chart. All you're looking at is P&L. The longer you sit in things, the longer you have the opportunity for those things to take place. Whereas if I'm looking for moves that explode and they're over and done in 5 and 10. Okay, so the news on oil has confirmed or completed the pattern. Probably exceeding the low of the day by 25 to 50 pips. Incredible. Did I only see one like? That hurts. What a day to be short on the indexes, huh? Yeah, so this is definitely a very good example of what I was saying. Yeah, we got the higher high or whatever. which can lead to reversals, but especially off of a. So you remember when, like gold, for example, like this. It was about a month back or so, and you get these really strong pivot points, right? You'll get a strong pivot, something like this. This will be like a downwards move here, and then you'll get a first green day, and then gold just loves to break out, and it'll break out for 3 sessions, right? It'll break out for 3 sessions, so they get me looking for the 3-session reversal setup. But the problem with that is, when you're coming off of a fresh low like this, this could be a very strong breakout, and then it does this, and it continues like this. Which, the reason I explain all of that is because we're seeing that right now on indexes, but in the opposite direction, where they've broken out for 3 sessions, or just about, right? Just about 3 sessions. And it gets you thinking, okay, time to get that 3-session reversal set up. But then it just keeps going. Which is why I really didn't put a lot of emphasis on this. I didn't really see it doing what I thought it was going to do for the setup. This makes a lot more sense because we've been going up, market go up long time. Market start to show signs of reversal. Market reverse. You know, a lot of times you're not going to see a retracement in that first or second day. It's going to break because the trap is set on a daily scale and on a weekly scale. The trap is now set. And this is them coming back into all of the longs and just middle finger to everybody. Good stuff, Tony. Did you take part? Look at this bad boy, stopping right at 50. Now this thing has got some room to go. 25 to 50 is usually just the average distance outside of a range that a market will go. But if it's going to do a full expansion, or if it's going to do a full expansion of the range, and I'm telling you, this is all just speculative ifs. If this actually is a head and shoulders pattern, we could be looking at, a larger measured move. I just don't know if it's going to happen today or whatever. How would you have taken the gold trade after first green day? So with news on the calendar, I would have had to wait till after the news. Or after a higher high on the day in a pullback. So if I was trading a different session, I might have been able to, get in. So I trade everything exactly the same all the time. Yes, the pattern is going to present slightly different. Sometimes it will look slightly different. But for the most part, it's always going to be exactly the same. Why am I panicked? There we go. It's like freaking out. I can't figure out how to turn this button on. Okay, so yesterday was first green day in an inside bar. So the next day, what am I looking for? Every single time, if it's a buy low opportunity, I'm looking to buy at the low of the day or coming off of the low of the day. Okay. Does that mean that I'm just going to buy because I'm at the low of the day? No, I have entry criteria. So we're making lower lows and lower highs on the day. I would have to see them make a higher high before I'm allowed to look to enter. So they made the higher high right here. This was still in, I think this is the end of Asian session. And it went back into consolidation. Okay. This pullback over here. I know this is hindsight. And you're like, oh, it's just hindsight. So now how would you ever reproduce this in lifetime? Okay, that's great. Because you've seen me reproduce it in lifetime every single day for an eternity. On these, not an eternity, but every single stream, I'm walking you all through this stuff. So it can be done. We have a high in place. They start to pull back. It breaks out of this bar. This is the first drive in a breakout back down, breakdown. So maybe P1. And then we have a second bar down, so maybe this is P2. And then a sideways maneuver to possibly P3. So after 3 pushes, I don't know where 3 pushes is going to be. I don't know where it's going to be until the engulfment or until the breakout bar to the upside. Okay, that doesn't happen until right here. So at this point on this bar right here, I would have not had any of this up here. I would have had speculation. I would have had thoughts, but nothing solidified until this bar right here. And then I would have looked back and said, okay, there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. So I would have been looking for the 3 pushes essentially in hindsight. So on this bar here, when it breaks higher, I would be looking for them to close essentially above P2 to trap. Looking for evidence of them trapping shorts, things like that. So after the higher high, breaks down, goes sideways, and engulfs, I can really get in anywhere over here. If I don't catch that, I'm going to catch the first pullback, which is right here. And if you notice in this pullback, you have 1, 2, 3. They tried to go back down 3 times, and instead of being capable of going down, it continued to close higher. And after closing higher, anytime the market makes a new extreme, it's going to try and go the other way. Anytime the market breaks down or breaks out, it will go sideways. It goes sideways for a bar. And I look to get in after the higher low is put in place. So it's the same stuff over and over again. Either getting in after the higher high, getting in down low on the pullback, or getting in after the first pullback after the explosion, the breakout. Now past that, that's just really explaining process. Would I have actually done that? Not until after this news. Not until after non-farm payrolls. That's just not something that I'm doing. So I would have to wait until after this. And then after non-farm payrolls, they've already lifted price from here all the way up here. And normally there would be like a first bounce opportunity or something like that. Maybe on a lower time frame. Yeah, even down here, probably not. Okay, so that was a very long answer for me to tell you I probably would not have traded this. Yeah, John. So it's always going to be that breakout bar. And people yell at me and tell me whatever because I call them engulfments. Whatever. Sometimes it's not an engulfment. Sometimes because an engulfment is a down closed bar, it could be an up closed bar, right? And then the next bar immediately goes the other way. And I understand that when I keep calling things engulfments, and that's not always the case. You'll have a down closed bar sometimes, and then you'll have like another bar, and then maybe even another bar or something like this, and then you'll get a bar that it breaks out like this. And I would say, oh, that's an engulfment. But yes, this is always my trigger. This is the thing. This bar, I'm not saying this is where I get in every single time. This is my trigger to be looking for, hey, market's broken out. Is it going to go sideways? Is it going to try and go back down and fail? And if it fails, will it continue? I could be getting in this bar on a 1 minute chart. They come down here on a 1 minute chart. You'll notice that they'll come down and then they'll engulf on a 1 minute chart, and I can get in the pin, which I love when I get those entries because it's just really solid. Goodness gracious. Oil is producing today. I wish I could have held this thing. I wish the news wasn't in the way. And unfortunately, the news confirmed the trade. It followed through to target. Beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to be taking any other trade today. I've already had one decent trade, 25 pips on 2 minis, which was obstructed by the news. I had to get out. But some really solid charts today. NASDAQ looks decent if you were willing to trade the continuation. What a collapse, right? I would say gold is probably it's too outside of the criteria for me to say that there was anything decent on gold. Yeah, it's a lot of movement, but is it capture? Could you have captured it? Maybe. If I just started throwing, click and buy button, spamming the buy button, probably would have got lucky, but Russell, another one, looks really decent. Nice collapse. Especially once, it consolidated over here, broke down, and went sideways. There's the pen. But once they start allowing this guy to make money again, all bets are off. That makes me feel really good when I see that. Biggest down close bar on the chart. If it was going to be taken away from them, they should not have come back. Oil, I think oil is the trade of the day. If I had to, if you forced me and said, hey, what was the best out of these 5? What was the best one? What was criteria based? What was playbook? It was oil. By a lot. By a very large amount. Oil was the best. Oil is the reproducible setup. Oil is the one that fits the criteria the best, and it was set up very well. We had the breakout, failed breakout, first red day that breaks down and goes sideways, lower low on the day that popped back up, and now looking at a 15-minute chart, looking at the 5, I had speculated where the 3 pushes were. Now looking at a 15-minute chart, it's even easier to see. Here's your breakout bar, your bar that's closed higher. So we had a 1 bar range consolidation for 30 an hour. We had an hour of consolidation at the previous day's low after making the lower low. They break out 1, 2, 3 to the high, breaks down, and never comes back to allow that guy out of his position. In fact, they trap P1 as well. Never coming back. Just slaying the longs. Love to see it. Check GU 4-hour time frame. I do not frequent the 4-hour, but I'll go take a look. You said GU. Well, the 15 minutes impressive. That's interesting. They broke out and said, yeah, I think we're going to go from all the way down here all the way up there. Cool. I don't even have the 4-hour saved. Hold on. Interesting. Okay. How do you count the pushes? In hindsight, wait for the engulfment. So number 1, you have to know when to just go. You can watch my channel, and I'll explain it in all those videos and stuff. But you have to know when to look for 3 pushes. I'm not just looking for it anywhere. You can look for it outside of a daily range, or outside of a daily level. But mainly I'm looking for it after structural breaks, either for reversal setups, or even for continuation setups. Something like this, okay? What I was saying earlier was you're looking for this engulfment to help confirm the 3 pushes, okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have a great rest of your day. Great weekend. Stay safe. Get away from the computer, hopefully, for a little bit. Get your study time in. Get in whatever you need to do. Document your trades from today or from this week. Do some review, but, get outside, get the sun, get a workout in, go for a walk, whatever you got to do. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you first thing Monday morning, 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Are ready to trade. I'll see y'all then. Bye-bye.